discuss a team that has no name, which should be the title of this
team
podcast.
has no name.
The team has no name. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that report that we've been waiting for came out this week. And
after 18 delays, Jesus.
yeah, and it wasn't pretty. Wasn't pretty at all. I actually knew one of the main
do you want to say what like background? Like what are we talking about as far as the
whole world should know, but it's about the Skins sexually abusing the women employees there.
I mean, we had kind of heard rumors about it.
I didn't hear any rumors
a couple
about
of years
this.
ago. Yeah, I had heard before about the trips to like South America with like
Costa Rica trip.
I
just found out about that.
Oh, that started coming out years ago, and I guess it got swept under the rug at least temporarily.
The New York Times broke that one.
Yeah, but that was like I feel like that was at least a couple of years ago. I think it was.
Okay, let's explain that one. So from what I heard, the Skins had their cheerleaders go on a trip to Costa Rica for what? I don't know why.
A calendar shoot or something.
Okay. And then they had like a topless calendar shoot. And then they gave access to quote unquote VIPs to like their changing process.
So like when you see like the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition where they nowadays like they usually have a few of the models will do body paint instead of actually wearing a bikini. So in order to do body paint, you have to be naked in order for them to apply the paint to your body. So what the allegations were that they flew the cheerleaders down to Costa Rica. This one particular time is what we're talking about. They took all their passports as soon as they landed.
Yep, which is weird.
Kind of weird. And then they basically told them where to go and what to do at all given points of time. And what, unbeknownst to the cheerleaders, that there were special VIPs, either suite owners at FedEx Field or what have you, that were getting special access to see everything happening, whether it be them getting paint put on them or them changing bikinis or anything. Because when you go to the beach to go do a photo shoot, it's not like they have a bunch of bathrooms and everything to get everything done. Usually you got somebody maybe hold up a towel. There's going to be angles of which you're going to be able to see stuff. So it made a lot of the cheerleaders uncomfortable. Now, that was what was confirmed in the New York Times as far as that aspect of things. As far as the Redskins' response to it was pretty much nothing. But that couples with a whole lot of other rumors that have happened around the team over the last few years. Now, you get this article that just came out. Now, last week we did the podcast. The only thing that anybody was talking about when it came to the Washington football team was the name change and how excited everybody was that we were going to change the name or what have you. Now, Dan Snyder is still problematic by all means, and I've been wanting him to leave for a very long time. But what ended up happening after we did the podcast, I think it was on Monday morning, was the Redskins fired two guys from the front office, Alex Santos and Richard Mann. Those two guys, you always heard things from the media, especially another guy, Larry Michael, who's the voice of the Skins. Yeah. Unbeknownst to anybody, just retired out of nowhere after having one of the cushiest jobs in all of sports as far as
Monday morning too. It's just like, I'm retiring today.
So he leaves, and then there's this groundswell of everybody online like, all right, what's happening on Redskins Park? Now, everybody was still kind of focused on the name change, but there was this hold on, something's coming out. There's a news article coming out. You had all local sports media, all media across the country that started hyping this story up. Said it was going to get released on Tuesday. It doesn't get released on Tuesday. Said it's going to be released on Wednesday. It doesn't get released on Wednesday. What was happening behind the scenes apparently was that the football team, the organization was trying to hire law firms or everything out to figure this all out. The Washington Post was trying to make sure that they covered their ass so they didn't have any lawsuits or anything coming their way. Because as I've told you guys in this podcast time and time before, you can't find a more litigious guy than Dan Snyder. He sued grandmothers that didn't pay up as far as the season tickets. Yeah. He's tried to sue the Washington City paper for writing disparaging things about him. I think he's gone after Gawker at one point. He goes after anybody. It's the same guy who wants to prosecute fans to bring signs into the stadium talking about sell the team down or anything else. He's a little bitch when it comes to anybody saying anything about him. So Washington Post want to make sure they got the story right. Yeah. So the story comes out, and the story is there was 15 women over the course of the last decade, different stories about inappropriate texts they received, about just the culture within in the office, how many things have been said about their bodies, inappropriate touching. There's also a case of there being a stairwell at Redskins Park that if you walk up, it's see-through underneath, and certain guys knew where it is. You could stand and look up to see up the girls' skirts.
And they were like leaning angles.
They were leaning angle, like they wouldn't hide it at all. There was a lot of that just came out, and it was like, now the article does say outright, Dan Snyder was never a part of any of the actual harassment. Dan might not have even been aware of some of the harassment, but when you say that, you've got to think, like, as the owner of the team, if stuff doesn't go right, you need to be aware. It's on you, which is why the big comparison between these two, as far as you having a sports organization that gets accused of any sort of sexual harassment by their underlings or people in the front office, would be the Dallas Mavericks and
I can handle that part. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, take over.
The Mavs are my favorite team in basketball, right? And when everything came out, it was sometime last year, I believe.
Yeah.
Where it was talking about the culture and how they had certain people in the front office who were sexually assaulting people and like convicted of like weird shit, and then like watching porn on the computer. They found like a used condom like on the floor, like when you walk in to, and it's like,
that's gross.
Yeah. And when that all came out, Mark Cuban like stood in front, did interviews, talked about how I wasn't aware, but it's on me because I am at the top.
Yeah.
He made the adjustments. He hired someone who can change the culture, and he worked with them to make sure that shit happened.
And he hired more females in the front office. I think the CEO now is a woman.
Yeah.
And he apologized.
He took responsibility and he apologized. Let us contrast that.
Yeah. Dan fucking Snyder. I want to say this, like, first off, he's a piece of shit and fuck him.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'm not surprised at the sexual assault stuff just because it seems to go on everywhere unchecked, and I'm glad it's getting exposed. Similarly, I am not surprised by Dan Snyder's response, where not once does he apologize, not individually or to the whole group. He basically doesn't take any ownership for the fact that it happened under his watch. And he basically did the, well, this happened, so I got a whole firm coming in to, shake things up here, and everything should be fine going forward. Have a nice day. It was.
And then he sends an email to everybody in the organization, the players and people in the front office, scouting, whatever, from him and his wife, because he knew he had to get a woman on there with him, talking about how things will change and it was unacceptable, this, that, and the other. Look, Dan Snyder's the owner of the team, and it's the same thing I've been saying forever. He is the owner. The buck stops with him. When I look at the losses that the team has had, when I look at the dysfunction that the organization has, it starts at the top. That being said, I don't think Dan Snyder was completely clued in as far as what was happening with the sexual harassment. I don't. But it doesn't absolve him of the responsibility that it is his organization and he should know. There was always the rumors about, what did I tell you guys when we were listing the top moments of our fandom or our sports? One of mine was getting rid of fucking Bruce Allen. Bruce Allen was probably the guy in that office that was seeing everything happen. I'd be surprised if he just had a grudge thing that he didn't just come out and start spewing out, was one of the sources for one of these things either, because his name was not mentioned anywhere in the article, which was surprising to me, being that he was the guy that was all up and around what was actually going on. Mm-hmm. Now, Dan is a complete and utter asshole. He's a terrible owner, and he's a terrible person. And I'm done. I've always tried to figure out some sort of way in which I could root for the guy, that being he's a long-time Skins fan. He grew up with the team. Everybody, I play Madden franchise mode, you have those dreams like, man, if I was the owner of my team that I grew up and watched, like, you want to do this, that, and the other. So there's a part of you that from a story standpoint want to root for the man. Well, fuck that. Under no circumstances should there be a climate like this that exists anymore. I don't give a fuck about whether it's the Me Too movement or anything else. We talked also here on the podcast about that whole locker room talk bullshit. The people say that all men do behind the scenes. It's just guys being guys. Like, it's horseshit. I don't sit down with my boys judging every woman that I work with. I don't sit down with my coworkers trying to figure out, oh, she's looking good today, this, that, and the other. It's inappropriate. You got to treat people like they're human beings, and that's what we're doing. We're looking at them like their bodies, and we're sexualizing people. That doesn't make any sense in that level, especially when it's that hard with the amount of machismo bullshit around sports. I can only imagine how hard it is for any of these women that can do a damn good job to be able to sit there and take it time and time again. There were only 15 that came forward as far as the article itself did. Only one was willing to come forward actually with her name. When the article dropped, I was on Twitter looking at all the other female reporters, the ones that are either still in it or that used to do it, and they all say, this is not surprising. We've all experienced this shit. And it's ridiculous to me that we're in 2020 and we're still in this situation where you have to either have some sort of personal connection to people to start caring, or that you need to be threatened with losing your job or getting canceled because of your actions. You should just know there are certain things to do and certain things not to do. And if you're still falling on that same trend, you're a fucking asshole. Now, the other thing is that as a Washington football team fan, I'm trying not to say the name, it's hard. There are so many other stories that have been floating around about what happened at Redskins Park. I'm going to go into some of them. I will say from a legal standpoint, these are all allegations. These are all rumors, nothing confirmed. But you have this culture that exists. As soon as the article got released, there were a lot of people that were like, oh, man, I got a good idea what's about to happen. I got a good idea what's going to go down. And as soon as the article got released, they were like, whoa, that's not – I mean, that's bad, but that's only half the story. That's not even going anywhere near where it is that we've seen shit go. You saw DJ Swearinger, former safety for the team. He starts releasing his text history when it came to Jay Gruden. And you see what Jay Gruden was doing as far as being upset that DJ was going to the press and saying this, that, and the other about the team. And he basically threatens the man to fight. There's the other story that came out about Jay Gruden, that Jay Gruden's a huge cokehead and he was sleeping with every woman that he possibly could in that front office. It had nothing to do with his wife. There's a story about Capri Bibbs, who was a running back for us. When Capri Bibbs was apparently messing with the receptionist at the front office, the same guy that Jay Gruden was cheating on his wife with, when Jay Gruden found out it was Capri Bibbs, he benched him. Guess what happened when he benched Capri Bibbs? Capri Bibbs was supposed to be on the team and on that play when Alex Smith got wrecked. He was supposed to be the running back actually blocking, but no, we had somebody else in there that couldn't do the block job. All because Jay Gruden himself was so upset and so pissed off that he was sleeping around with other people, and he got a little jealous that another player was getting some of the action. You see the pictures of Jay Gruden at the bars getting all shitty, twisted, or what have you. None of the Redskins didn't say anything about that shit, right? No. Because they understood and they knew what was happening, what was going on. They knew. There's so many other stories that come out. The Redskins cheerleading scandal is only the beginning. There's so many other stories I've heard as far as the cheerleaders. The stories that I've heard without trying to get anybody hammed up. The firsthand stories that I've heard about stuff that's been happening where you have cheerleaders show up to hotel rooms where you know that there are certain people in those hotel rooms. What goes on behind the scenes, we're not entirely % sure. But I know for a fact that there was a Redskins employee, at least if you believe his story, that used to get told that he was not allowed to enter the hotel room. He was only there to stand at the door and make sure nobody came in or out. Lord knows what was happening inside those hotel rooms. You talk to other people that I've talked to that have worked at Redskins Park that talk about just that atmosphere that was there. Even though Dan might not have been involved in any sexual harassment, Dan still created this culture of this just anger and this just what it was harassment in the sense of doing your job. People can't even get their job done without being yelled at and being berated about this, that, and the other. It's this hostile ass work environment. When players leave the team, which happens in droves every year, the first thing they do is shit all over the franchise. You don't see that with any other team, maybe in all of sports. You don't see a team where you have people that leave it have this level of vitriol for the organization. And it's not just because of the product on the field, which has been dog shit. It's about the things that they have to go through behind the scenes with this squad, with this organization. Where you have Dan, whether or not he's involved or not involved, sometimes he should get involved. Sometimes he should be stepping out. I know as a fan, we've all wanted Dan to stay hands off, stay hands off. But if you got shit like this going down in your organization, you need to clean house and do it yourself.
Yeah,
he's done such a shitty job of that.
He's allowing the culture to continue by not doing anything, and that makes him as culpable as anybody else in that organization. And I think that's what the real issue is here. I mean, don't get me wrong, everything that happened, everything that I read in that article is disgusting. But I think the most disgusting part is that the person who allowed this to happen under his watch, whether he knew about it or not, he should have known if he was that hands-on with the team, which he's been trying to do for the last 15 to 20 years or however long he's on the team. He should have known, or at least gotten wind, or somebody had to have told him. And what I guarantee he did was fucking shrug it off and walk away and go back to trying to play general manager. It's just, I mean,
that's my thing is like, don't cherry pick your involvement. Like you can't sit there on the sidelines and then, I'm talking about Dan. You don't sit there on the sidelines and then all of a sudden decide, well, we're going to trade all of our draft picks to get RG3 when the head coach doesn't want it. I'm going to sit on the sidelines when it comes to people sexually harassing employees in my company. But then Dwayne Haskins went to the school that my son went to, so I'm going to get involved here.
Yeah.
He cherry picks what he wants to get involved with compared to what he doesn't because he's okay with that good old boys club that they got running their Redskins Park. Now, I'll put first off, the dudes that got fired, Alex Santos, Richard Mann, fuck you. Larry Michael, the one that resigned, fuck you. Those dudes have been complete and utter monsters to these women. I can only imagine what it's got to feel like for them, knowing that they had a dream of being there as a part of an organization, a tradition, all that stuff. The same stuff you got all these fans that don't want to change the name because we think about the legacy and the pride and the history and how it is the team makes us feel. And you got people that have suffered on the hands of this organization.
There's no pride there anymore.
There's none.
Yeah. So I knew Rhiannon Walker since she was a kid, right? Because she's from Fort Washington, where I'm from. Mm-hmm. And I used to go to Potomac Landing Elementary School, like the rec center, every day to play football and basketball. And she'd be there all the time. Then fast forward, I'm at University of Maryland, and I may have just graduated over my senior year. Now she's going to University of Maryland. So then we're hooping again. And then I'm sitting up here joking with you like, yeah, I can't wait to see what the fuck's about to happen about the Skins. And then I'm reading the article and I'm like, wait, Rhiannon? Like you? And when I saw the dude's name and I saw his picture, I was like, I wish I saw him.
Yeah, man, it's
terrible, but there's always.
And she's like the most genuine and it doesn't even matter like what type of person. Like that should not happen.
Yeah.
And the fact anywhere. And the
fact that they haven't.
She wasn't even at like it wasn't even at like the example that I saw was like they were at like some bar.
No, but it's all within the guise of work. You're a reporter.
It should never happen to anybody.
There should be a professional relationship that exists, and those lines continue to get blurred all the time. Now, it's a wonder that we're not hearing it from a player standpoint, because I know that shit happens. But when you got the front office, the white-collar guys that aren't doing anything except pushing papers, being responsible for treating that sort of culture in that, it's ridiculous to me. It's absolutely ridiculous to me.
I find it very surprising that I know 3 people were fired and or resigned, but the fact that more of that house has not been cleaned out is very surprising to me. And I would be shocked if more people there's not more fallout from this, because I mean, I don't know how Dan doesn't sell the team right now. I mean, I can see in his mind with his gigantic ego why he wouldn't sell the team. Like, this wasn't me, not my fault. But I think, like Mark Cuban said it best, like, this ain't it. You got to take responsibility. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if he will, but at least clean house. Like, there has to be an internal investigation. Everybody that was involved, whether it's, your best friend in the organization, doesn't matter. He's got to go. So
I am at a particular point right now where I still think we have one of the best guys ever as far as our head coach, especially for the situation at hand, Ron Rivera. I don't know how much Ron has to do with what's happening as far as declaring a house. I know his daughter works there in the park.
Yeah,
now.
He tweeted that.
Yeah, so it's like he's not.
I want to add something on that.
Right.
I saw his response, and like it was all great and everything. Like, he didn't have to put like my daughter works here, so I wouldn't let this happen. It's like, you shouldn't let it happen even if your daughter didn't work there.
I get it. But it was just something. I get what you're saying. It's nitpicky.
He's saying I wouldn't want my daughter to be in that sort of environment.
Yeah. Which is where I go. Which is when I said that it shouldn't have to take you having a personal connection for anything to actually matter.
Yeah, I agree.
Ron was sort of problematic after the Jerry Richardson stuff. Even though he did a great job as far as getting the team done, he still had one too many good things to say about Jerry Richardson after that entire situation after Carolina. But I understand maybe he had a personal connection to him and whatnot. I ain't going to criticize it too much. But if you have an opportunity, which is what we've done, we've cleared house. I'm 31 years old. I was born in 1989. The last Redskins Super Bowl victory was 91, 92, depending on how you want to look at the calendar, right? I don't have that many good fucking memories about this team. Or if they are, they're memories that don't fucking matter. They're memories that didn't lead to any playoff wins. They didn't lead to any Super Bowl wins. They didn't lead to any real Hall of Famers or anything that was going on, as much as taking the shit that I had and to try to make the best out of it, right? It's not the memories that I get looking at the Caps. It's not the memories I get when looking at the Nationals. The Redskins, for me, most of it, I look over the course of my life, it's been more pain than anything else. Now, I understand if you're older than me and maybe you did see things in the heyday, but you got to realize after this new ownership, or not new ownership now, but after Dan's takeover in 99, 98, whatever, it has not been sunshine and roses here. So I don't know what anybody's trying to hold on to. I want a clean fucking break. I don't want anything to do with what it is that we were doing way back when. I want Dan gone. I don't want him to be a part of the name change. I think this is an opportunity for us to actually have a clean slate with guys that are willing to put in the work and to actually do things the right way. Does it scare me that Jeff Bezos is looking to be the owner of the team? Absolutely. But I will take Jeff Bezos. I'll take a whole lot of motherfuckers over this particular guy right here, Dan Snyder, who's been a sniveling, coward, egotistical maniac, and a fucking piece of shit all the way around. I don't care for the people right now that are trying to defend him. They're the same ones that are saying we should hold on to the name. You guys need to get left way the fuck back, and let us carry this organization into what the future needs to be. Because I'm at a point right now, we're looking at it, I don't think I can do it anymore. I think I'm over it. I think I'm pretty much watching football for the sake of fantasy, but that's pretty much, I'm done. Now, it helps as far as that Redskins name not being there anymore, but as long as Dan Snyder owns that team, as long as Dan Snyder is reaping the profits and the rewards from having this team, I don't know if I can support it anymore. I think I'm done.
I think the last time I enjoyed watching a Redskins game was when Brad Johnson was our quarterback.
Look, like I said, it's shining shit into gold, right? Yeah. Like I can look at the 07 run. The 07 run.
RG3?
No, 07. The 07 run where we had to win 5 in a row or we don't go to the playoffs. We don't go. Sean Taylor died right before we did that.
Yeah, I was there at the game where we won by 21 to get into the playoffs.
Right, so it's Cowboys. Like it's almost shuffling pain inside my head to try to search for a good memory. Yeah. I look at like the Clinton Portis, the first Clinton Portis run. I was telling my dad about it. I was telling my cousin's boyfriend about it yesterday. Clinton Portis' first run, 64 yards to the house against Tampa Bay. Thought that everything was going to be different. We went to the playoffs twice. We didn't win shit. And Clinton Portis is not going to the Hall of Fame, right? I look at all these things in which I'm like, all right, there are certain moments that I'm like, oh, man, that was cool. I remember how that made me feel. But majority of my feelings have been pain. When I first got started working for an insurance company down in Virginia a few years ago, in 2015, I remember I found out that I was going to have to work on Sundays. And there was a part of me that was a little almost like, shit. Like, I've quit jobs because they wanted me to work when the Skins were playing. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this job is too good to pass up, so I'm going to have to deal with it. So on my lunch break on Sundays, I'd run downstairs to the cafeteria and try to see if the game was on. So I'd watch a little bit of the game. And I started to notice my heart rate started going a little higher. I could feel my blood pressure start feeling a little angry. I see Kirk Cousins throwing an interception, piss me off. Then I run outside and smoke a cigarette, and start feeling a little bit better. And I walk back inside. I look at the team. Heart rate starts going up again. And I just went back to work. Then I realized the following Sunday, I ain't going to watch any of the game. And I felt better. And I started realizing my life feels almost better without dealing with this fucking team, without having to defend them, without having to realize when every Cowboy and Eagles fan wants to say how much my team sucks, and I got to bite my tongue on how I actually feel and just defend them for the sake of defending them, when I know it's been a piece of shit organization for a very long time. There's no defending the Washington team. There's none.
No. You know me. I watch 162 baseball games a year or more. I don't miss a single of the 82 Caps games. I haven't watched a Redskins game really in like 3 years. Like when I was out in LA, like I buy the MLB Network to watch my Mets no matter where I'm at. Not 1 year did I get the NFL package to watch the Skins. It's not fun. It's not fun to watch. Like there are fun games. Like Thanksgiving every year is fun if we get in, but it's a sad
the Bills now.
It's a sad organization. Let's go Bills.
It's a sad it's an extremely sad organization. I don't see anything really changing unless Dan Snyder fucking leaves. Whether or not the NFL has to bring the hand. Now he hired some K Street law firm, the same one that she's done some high profile deal. But the law firm's investigating everything that happened as far as the allegations in the Washington Post. And what they want to do is they want to implement new HR training and rework the way the organization itself
Didn't they have like one person?
She's the lead of it, but she's got a team.
Oh yeah, there's
so.
A team.
No, I'm talking about that. Like, didn't y'all only have one person in HR?
Oh yeah, we didn't have. There's basically no HR team because they knew that if they didn't have an HR team, they'd investigate stuff.
That is stupid. That starts with Dan too.
No, this all starts with Dan.
No, I know, but I'm saying you should know.
No, I get it. But what I'm saying is that the investigation is going to happen, and I've already heard from the NFL statement on it. They're waiting to hear the results of the investigation. So it looks like the NFL will at least have some sort of – like Dan could just lock this investigation up, the results of it, and nobody could see it. And just lawyer confidentiality, all that shit, where nobody really has access to what happens after the investigation. But if the NFL – is able to press the issue there on it, and you got the other 31 owners in the NFL that are not trying to deal with any of this shit. They've got enough on their plate just trying to deal with COVID. They got enough on their plate trying to deal with the name change. They got enough on their plate trying to deal with the Black Lives Matter deal and how it is they're going to implement all that stuff. The last thing they want is the last thing they need is an owner doubling down or trying to hide or cover up anything that's happening. They're not going to stand for it. It'll be a blackout that the NFL itself cannot overlook. And what I also say is that if you're one of these fans out here, the same thing that I used to do, which is try to justify the bullshit. If you're one of those fans that are out there saying, oh, or you're Darren Ravel, who's like, oh, you know, this story wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. I mean, it's bad, but it's not that bad. If you're one of those people, check yourselves. Really. Some of you guys are a lost cause, so go fuck yourself. Go jump off the goddamn bridge. The other ones of you, because I used to be one of you.
There's no
to try to downplay it over the bullshit. Just realize you're being a fucking hypocrite. You're full of shit, and you need to know where you really should stand. Stop holding on to nostalgia over memories that don't really mean shit. Most of us were not alive, or at least most of us were not really getting involved when it came to the Skins when we were winning shit. All we've seen is losing. There's nothing to hold on to.
You got to be like in your mid-50s, and then by that time – we're not getting through to you anyway.
So. And those mid-50s, once half of those guys are either black and they're like, fuck them, they ain't got Colin Kaepernick on the team, a la my father, or you got the other half, which are big Trump guys, and they're pissed off the Black Lives Matters meeting, something that the guy, Colin Kaepernick.
They're just pissed off that Black Lives Matter right now. It's fucking getting to them.
Pretty much. So, fuck
all right. So to close, I want to say that to all the women that spoke out, I appreciate you. Thank you. And we're rooting for you, and we're here for you. We support you.
We are your allies, and you should not have to go through what it is you're going through. We need to change the culture, and it starts with us. The same way that's how when it comes to the racism thing starts with white people. I will say when it comes to all the bullshit that women have to go through, it starts with us looking in the mirror, and it starts with us checking people out. Check your gut. Check your dude. When you got some dude trying to talk all that sexist bullshit because it's locker room talk, check his ass. Check him. It's not okay to talk about who you're slaying in the office, this, that, and the other. It ain't okay. None of that's okay. The moment you shut up and you be silent and you laugh it off is the moment you're complicit. Stop the bullshit.
Agreed.